south of here. This is Samaria. Jerusalem is in Judea. And we're way north of Judea by now. Okay. Megido is over that way. We're going to be there on Sunday morning. Morning, Sunday noon or so. Okay? It's very hazy, so we really can't see much of anything far the horizon. So, Nazareth. What happens in Nazareth? In Nazareth, we have the beginning. What is the beginning? John 1:14. And the Word became flesh and made his dwelling amongst us. In one sentence, one concise sentence, you've got it all. Basically, God is taking on the form of one of us and dwelling amongst us for some 26 to 30 years. And part of what he's doing here is working on changing the relationship between God and humankind. We're leaving the era of the law, we're heralding in the era of grace. And so this starts here, right here in Nazareth, as it says in Matthew 2, or is it Mark 2? Let's find it. Matthew 1. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet, that's Isaiah. The virgin will be with child and will give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel. Emmanuel in Hebrew means God is with us.
Yes.
So, Mary becomes pregnant with the Son of God, Yeshua, the Savior, or Emmanuel, God is with us. It continues with the Nativity in Bethlehem, returns here to Jerusalem, to Jerusalem for the circumcision and the blessing of the 30 days. Then they go to Egypt, they come back, they end up here in Nazareth, and Jesus grows up here in Nazareth. We don't know much about his childhood and youth here in Nazareth. And then we come across the situation where Yeshua, young Yeshua, is praying in the synagogue on Saturday, on Shabbat. And it's customary in the Jewish tradition, on every Shabbat, you read one section of the 5 books of the Torah. And at the end of the section from the Torah, you read one chapter from one of the prophets. Usually, it's a chapter from the prophets has something to do with the section from the Torah that is read on that weekend. And so, it says in Luke 4, he went to Nazareth where he had been brought up, and on the Sabbath day he went into the synagogue as was his custom. And he stood up to read. The scroll of the prophet Isaiah, that's 61, was handed to him. Unrolling it, he found the place where it is written, the Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners, and recovery of sight for the blind, to release the oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. This is from Isaiah 61, and this is the section that was read on that weekend in the synagogue, and it was read by Yeshua. Is that better? Then he rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down. The eyes of everyone in the synagogue were fastened on him, and he began by saying to them, today this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing. All spoke well of him and were amazed at the gracious words that came from his lips. Isn't this Joseph's son, they asked? And Yeshua said to them, surely you will quote this proverb to me, physician, heal yourself, do here in your hometown what we have heard that you did in Capernaum. I tell you the truth, he continued, no prophet is accepted in his hometown. I assure you that there were many widows in Israel in Elijah's time, when the sky was shut for 3.5 years. And there was a severe famine throughout the land. Yet Elijah was not sent to any of them, but to a widow in Sarfat, in the region of Sidon. And there were many in Israel with leprosy in the time of Elisha the prophet, yet not one of them was cleansed, only Naaman the Syrian. All the people in the synagogue were furious when they heard this. They got up, drove him out of the town, and took him to the brow of the hill on which the town was built, in order to throw him down the cliff. But he walked right through the crowd, and went on his way. So basically, the idea being that prophets are never appreciated in their time. Prophets are always persecuted and ridiculed and not understood and not accepted and not appreciated. I mean, look at Jeremiah ending up in the prison a number of times, and what Jesus quoted from Elijah and Elisha. And so, there you have it. The prophets are not accepted in their own time. And Jesus Well, he grew up here. He was that runny-nosed boy, the son of the apprentice son of Joseph, the carpenter and the artisan. Who's he to say that the words of the prophet Isaiah, I am the anointed one, I have here to proclaim the year of the Lord? Who is he to say that he is the one, that the prophecy is now fulfilled? So they weren't very happy with that. But we know what happened afterwards. And so he walked away, and he goes to the Galilee, to the ministry of Christ, which we'll be discussing from tomorrow.
You prayed up here a lot of that, up this way, alone.
Yeah, well, he prayed in, I would say he prayed in many places on his own, and there's always the question of where exactly are these places.
Right here.
Just a second, I'm looking for something. Okay.
You said it might be a 2-week tour from here, trip from here to other places?
Yeah, Jerusalem. I would say somewhere, give or take. It could be a few days more, a few days less, depending on how many people you are, what you have with you, if you're riding or walking, if you have children or old people or you're young. So there's, I would say, between a week and 2 weeks would probably be the average time for that type of walking. Anyway, as long as we're here, let's point out Mount Tabor. Mount Tabor is a strategic spot. It sits on, I would say, a border between different tribes. All this area before us is the tribe belongs to the half of the Menashe. And over there we have Yisachar, we have Naphtali to the north, and we have Mount Tabor smack in the middle of the triangle border between these three tribes. Not only that, Mount Tabor sits very close to the
Issachar is
it passes
tribe.
through the valley right below us on
Just
an
FYI.
east-west axis from Megido down to Beit Shan. And so Mount Tabor has always been a place, a site of, I would say, friction, and battles took place in Mount Tabor and its region. Now, we have the transfiguration of Jesus, and the transfiguration of Jesus takes place a number of days after Peter's confession of Jesus as the Messiah, which happens in Caesarea Philippi, where we're going to be tomorrow morning. In some of the Gospels it says 6 days, in some of the Gospels it says 8 days after that event. And here I'm reading from Mark 9, after 6 days Yeshua took Peter, James, and John with him and led them up a high mountain where they were all alone. And there he was transfigured before them. His clothes became dazzling white, whiter than anyone in the world could reach them. And there appeared before them Elijah and Moses, who were talking with Yeshua. Peter said to Yeshua, Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. Then a cloud appeared and enveloped them, and a voice came from the cloud, This is my son whom I love, listen to him. Suddenly when they looked around, they no longer saw anyone with them except Yeshua. So, we have the transfiguration of Jesus Christ. There is a tradition that it happened there at the top of Mount Tabor. There's another tradition, alternative tradition, that says it happened on Mount Carmel. We're going to be passing by Mount Carmel tomorrow morning. We'll see it. It's actually very close to Caesarea Philippi, but it is quite a climb. Very, very high. It's the highest mountain range that we have in Israel. And there is a question as to where the transfiguration happened. Now, most traditions put it over here. And they say this is between 6 and 8 days walking time from Caesarea Philippi. And it's a mountainside. There is an interesting idea about that, because it says in the Bible that they stood apart. They went up to a mountain where they stood apart, where they stood alone. I've heard a version that says that one of the translations from the original Greek of the Bible was not they went up to a mountainside where they stood alone. It says they went up to a mountain that stood alone. It's not them standing alone, it's the mountain standing alone. And now look at Mount Tabor. From every direction you see it, it stands alone, because it sticks up from the valley, and from all around it stands up on its own.
Mount Tabor, where Yeshua was transfigured.
Of the tradition that the transfiguration of Jesus Christ took place on Mount Tabor.